This is Brother CJ. I'm making a short video just to pretty much give a small, quick little update of basically my experience of becoming an orphan. 2 years ago, my father, Brother Chris Westmoreland, he had passed away. And within that 2-year time span, I've come to learn and understand a lot of things that the Most High Yah has allowed me to learn and understand. My brother Joshua, he had pretty much just asked me to make this video, so I'm gonna pretty much just make it real short. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time, but pretty much I'm gonna just break it down to at least 3 things that I know I can truly take, that I have truly taken away from this experience. Number 1, I have learned and truly understood the importance of a man building up a great name for himself amongst Israel. As many of you who may see this video, I'm pretty sure you all know. If you don't know, my father, Brother Chris Westmoreland, he was a man of great character. He was very honorable. He was very hardworking. He was very faithful. He was very generous and loving towards the brethren. He was humble and also never afraid to correct and rebuke his brethren, because that's how much he loved the brethren. And he showed a lot of good fruit. And because of his character, because of his fruit, he was able to create a great name for himself in Israel. And it wasn't until after he died that I realized how impactful he was to a lot of people, not only in Israel, but outside of Israel. He was very impactful to a lot of people. Though I somewhat knew just how good of a man he was and how impactful he was before he died, but it was a whole nother level of realization after my father had passed on just how good of a man he was, especially toward the end of his life. The second thing that I was able to pick up and learn, which is highly important and is something that I'm going to take and continue to take on myself and pass on to my seed, is the importance of a man truly establishing his house. Now, as a man, it is highly important that you establish your house, that you make sure that you set the rules and the guidelines, the customs, the ways, the vision, and most importantly, the standard that you desire to go on through your house, that you desire to be shown through your house. And with the man establishing and setting order and setting a standard and putting forth a vision and goals for his house, in turn he is then able to continue and to maintain and uphold that great name that he has built throughout Israel for himself. And not only in building a name for himself, but as that man builds a name for himself and does establish his house in such a way and in such a manner that they keep his teachings, his customs, his ways, his goals, his visions, his standards that he has set. In turn, it allows even more so for his seed to continue to maintain and uphold that name. And his seed also are able to build good names for themselves because they continue in the standards and the teachings and the ways and the customs and the mannerisms that father has set in his house. The third thing that I was able to come to truly understand, which to me I would say is one that is very highly important and is one that's near the top of the list, though all of them are important, but inheritance. Inheritance is very, very highly important, especially for a man. And I did learn how important it is for a man to truly make sure he puts in the work to set aside an inheritance for his seed after him. It is very key that a man does that, so he's able to allow his seed to inherit whatever he had built up. And just as the Most High did, and working and putting in the work and making sure his seed, Israel, had an inheritance, we also as men, it is our role and our duty to make sure we do the same for our seed, making sure that we have something stored up for them. As a man, it is our duty to make sure we sit down with our seed and truly sow deep in them the ways of the Most High Yah, and also certain principles that, as being a man of the house, the seed be able to know and understand our desires, and are so forth, and are therefore able to basically continue in the ways, the customs, the teachings, and everything that man established when establishing his house. It's highly important that a man sit down with his seed and drill into them the importance of inheritance, especially if a man has a firstborn son, because with him having a firstborn son, that firstborn is the one who he has the right of the firstborn. He is the one that is to receive a double portion. So though all of his seed is to receive an inheritance, but it is the firstborn whom, if the man does right, and he truly does sit down, not only just being an example, but he truly does sit down and teach and drill the mannerisms, the customs, the principles, the teachings of the Most High Yah, his ways. If he truly does drill these things into his seed, especially his firstborn, if that man happens to get called home by the Most High Yah in this walk, in this faith, then it is of no worry, because his firstborn son will be able to continue in the walk and in the way that his father taught him, because his father drilled that into him. His father truly put in the time and the effort and the diligence to make sure that his firstborn knew what to do. He knew the vision, he knew the principles, he knew the ways of his father, he knew the desire of his father, and in turn that firstborn son will be able to do right and honoring his father whenever he is going, by making sure he keeps the ways that his father taught him, making sure that he keeps the standards that his father has set for that house. And that is highly important, and that's one of the things that I have learned and I've come to realize. It's not just enough for a man to be an example. It takes more than that. A man is to sit down and truly sow and drill and teach his sons, teach his daughters. And in doing so, once again, continue to maintain that great name that he had built for himself. Continue to maintain the great house that he had established, so that it does not become divided. Not saying it couldn't happen any way. It could. I mean, he could do all these things and the house be divided and end up being destroyed. But if a man does these things and truly does sit and teach his seed, not only being an example, but being a teacher, being a shepherd, and he truly does, being the high priest of his home as he is called to be. If a man truly does this thing, the percentage of that house staying intact and staying in unity remains high. And it's harder for Satan to come and divide and to tear up that household, because the man has done his job. So pretty much those are the three main things that I've learned from this experience. And through all this time, I'm very thankful to the Most High Yah, because of Pastor Corey and Deacon Miguel at Straightway KC, as well as I'm highly thankful for Pastor Dow and Straightway Ministries as a whole, because without them, without the truth being shared and the example and the teaching going forward, then my dad wouldn't have been able to get to the level and to the point where he was at before he passed, and teaching his house and getting and establishing and getting his house in order before he left. So I'm highly thankful and grateful for them and being the blessing that they were. And I'm also wanting to thank any and everyone who reached out to my father's house, and whether it was sending money, whether it's sending blessings, prayers, whatever the case may be. I highly appreciate it. Once again, I don't want to keep you guys on here too long, but I just wanted to give this short little update. And hopefully whoever comes across this video, I pray that whoever sees it, that you be blessed and you be encouraged. And whoever the Most High Yah wills to see this video, bless you. Shalom, Israel.